Right when India's real estate sector had started feeling a bit stronger, with housing sales numbers rising to almost pre-COVID levels of January 2020, we've been hit by another deadly wave of the pandemic and multiple lockdowns across major cities and states of India. How will this impact the sector, the supply and demand of both residential and office spaces? And more importantly, how does one keep construction workers at project sites safe in these very difficult times? Let's dive in straight and get the answers to these important questions. My guests on the property show today, Pankaj Bajaj, MD of Eldeco Infrastructure and Properties, Sanjay Dutt, MD and CEO Tata Realty, and Aditya Virwani, COO of the Embassy Group. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. There's been a lot of chatter about what's really going on at project sites. Pankaj, CREDAI came out with also a memo saying that, there 25% of the construction workers have probably gone back. We've not seen any mass exodus, but can you give us a true picture of what's happening?
I'll be honest with you. I'm from the NCR. For us, construction is not priority right now. I mean, that's the honest answer. We are right now bothered only about contributing to this fight as much as we can. Labor has indeed left, and whoever is left at the sites, we are trying to keep them comfortable, keep them safe, and that's the priority. There is no sidestepping the fact that construction is going to be severely disrupted, at least in NCR and North India, for the next 3 to 6 months. But we feel that it's going to come back after that. It all depends on how the second wave pans out.
All right. Aditya, is it the same situation in Karnataka? Because Karnataka, actually, the wave has started peaking much later than NCR. What's happening at construction sites? Is construction not a priority for you as well at this moment?
For us, construction is a priority. Construction sector in India employs 50 million people, so that's 12% of the working population. So it's important that construction does go on, but we ensure that we maintain the required safety norms for that to carry on. And also this wave is quite different to the first wave we had before, where many of these laborers, and like myself, had very little information about the virus. I think a year forward, we know about the virus, we know the effects of it, we know the severities of it. For us as developers, it's super important for us to make sure that our labor camps and our construction sites make these laborers feel safe and make them feel that they don't have to go home. And that's exactly what we're seeing on our sites. We're not seeing as many people go home as last time. We're seeing, honestly, I would say a 60-40 mix, if I had to put a number to it, where 40% have left and gone back, and the 60% feel more safe because of the things we're doing and the things we're providing for them. So it's quite interesting how it's different from the first wave.
All right, very interesting points. Sanjay, what's happening at all the Tata sites? I mean, how much is it affected construction? How is the labor force being kept safe?
We have 20 projects, Manisha. 17 are residential, 3,000 plus construction workers. I think we would have lost about 10%.
Okay. So let me come to the big question. As Pankaj said, Sanjay, Tata Group has stepped up a lot when it comes to really contributing to this COVID pandemic and helping people. With Tata Realty, the big thing is how do you keep, if 90% of your labor is still at site, how are you going to keep them safe with this crazy wave?
Manisha, it all starts with the ethos and policies of the company. First of all, we outsource construction, so we recruit reputed contracting firms. We have an environment, health and safety division, which even before pandemic was very proactive. And we ensured high quality hygiene, discipline, governance around all our construction sites. Of course, during pandemic, we upped it and we basically ensured that information, knowledge, and vaccination and tests are done regularly and are encouraged. We are also supporting our contractors. So if we have to, we've reached a protocol that if we see a spike and beyond a very single-digit percentage of COVID cases going up, the teams are empowered to shut down the sites. So we don't want to risk the lives of people. And if that means idle charges and not doing construction and taking a loss, we are prepared to do so. The other reason why perhaps we did not lose so many people, Manisha, even in this second wave, is because they feel far more secured at our side. They experienced last year that when they went out, and we had a 30 to 40% migration of workers last time, this time we did not see that because the arrangements that we made at site, even with doctors coming regularly, vaccination, treatment, imparting knowledge,
Right.
all of that has been very well looked after.
Okay, this is good to know. Pankaj, then why is there such a discrepancy? I mean, if Tatas are saying that they have 90% of their workforce behind, Aditya is saying that it's been a 60-40 ratio. Is it because NCR wave has been far more deadly and, the hospitals have not been well equipped and therefore the labor force has gone back? That's my first question. And of course, I'll come to the vaccination part the second.
Absolutely, it is that. It is got to do with the geographies that we're operating in. We all know what the situation in the NCR is and also in the rest of North India. So it is every city in North India is more or less under lockdown or some kind of curfew. There is construction going on at site, but it is not going on at a pace that one would like it to be. It's going on at about 25-30% of what it is officially allowed. But there is severe supply chain disruptions. There is a labor issue. And now with the oxygen rightly getting diverted to medical uses, we feel that even steel supply is going to be an issue in the next couple of months. Mm-hmm. So we cannot sidestep the disruption in construction at all. It is possible that in the geographies that Tata and the other companies are working, it has not happened, but it is severely disrupted in the NCR because of obvious reasons.
So CREDAI has also said that, they would like to take on the responsibility and the onus of vaccinating construction workers and of course the workers at site. Can you take me through whether this is possible? The drug controller has actually given a go ahead as of now for private companies to import vaccinations, but do you see that you will be able to do it?
So again, it's an issue which is larger than the construction sector itself. We know what the situation with the vaccine supply right now in the country is, even though it has been opened for the section of population below 45 years of age. The vaccines are not easily available. As and when the vaccines, we have written to all the state labor ministers and to the central ministry that CREDAI is willing to take on the job of vaccinating all construction workers at all its sites, subject to availability of vaccine and safety protocols.
Right. Aditya, how do you read it? How do you read this? I mean, private companies can actually import vaccinations. Do you think that a group as large as Embassy would take that onus on?
So firstly, I'd like to say we've already vaccinated everyone on our sites over 45. And yes, it is a bigger problem than just the construction sector on the availability of vaccines. We think that the fact that private companies can go out and procure vaccines is amazing. We definitely are interested to do it and first prioritize the frontline workers, which are construction laborers, security, housekeeping, etc. This is something as per availability opens up. We as Embassy are super positive on going out there as a private company and doing this and also extending it to the larger clientele and encouraging other private companies to do the same thing, to take that burden off the government.
All right. Okay, so that's the vaccination plan. I'm so glad to hear that all of you are going to pitch in as and when it will become feasible for you to import vaccines or vaccinations will be available easily. Sanjay Dutt, now give me the demand scenario. You have now a real concern that we may not see the economic revival that we were seeing. Pankaj has just talked about the fact that there could be supply chain disruptions. So not only do we see under construction projects probably getting delayed, but also demand probably vanishing. And we had seen a fantastic Jan to March quarter when it came to housing.
Manisha, you are right. However, I believe in comparison to Q1 2020, we will be better off. And the reason is very simple. We have digitized, we have qualified leads, our 60% of our inventory is ready to move inventory. Customers are aware and the brand power and pull factor is strong. However, whether we will achieve our plan for Q1, the answer is no. But we are hopeful. Like last year, when we bounced back, we should be able to bounce back this year. The inherent demand and the need for housing, and with the EMIs all-time low and no GST because of ready to move inventory, and customers and channel partners more aware of digital virtual solutions, we should be able to recover, Manisha. It is not a permanent damage. It is a temporary setback.
All right. I'm glad to hear that it's a temporary setback because like you said, and Aditya put the numbers there, that you need to get housing demand going. You don't want it disappearing. It's not good for the economic recovery as a whole. Pankaj, what's the scene in NCR? I mean, we've seen a pickup here as well. In your segment, the sales have been fantastic, which is mid to premium. How are you seeing the next couple of months?
So I agree with Sanjay, and I not only agree with him, I'll go a step further. I say that housing is going to command a greater share of the customer wallet going forward. I mean, put aside the disruption in this quarter or the next quarter, but housing, we all know how housing came back roaring after the last wave. And this is a trend not only in India, this is a trend across the world. People have realized the importance of housing. Not only would housing do well, get a larger share of the customer wallet, it will, I think, command a larger share in the overall real estate pie. There's also a trend of movement from commercial to residential because of work from home making deeper roots into people's habits. There's another very strong trend, Manisha, which is tier 2 markets are going to command a larger share in the overall real estate pie of the country. Right now, they command only 25%. I think this is going to go up to 30 to 35% very shortly. And that's going to be huge for some of these tier 2 towns. The fourth trend, which I feel is going to be very strong, is the trend towards upgradation. So people are going to want to upgrade their houses, go for bigger houses, a nicer place. So great times for luxury housing, for premium housing. Affordable housing is actually going to see a little bit of a challenge, especially because of the cost push that I mentioned earlier.
All right.
But overall,
so very interesting. Pankaj, you're saying that actually premium and luxury housing is likely to do better. Okay, Aditya, I think housing has been covered. So I'm going to toss the office and commercial question to you. I mean, Embassy Office Park REIT came out with pretty decent numbers, almost 90% occupancy and also a 13% jump in rental collections. So this whole conversation and chatter about offices becoming vacant and people leaving, what do we make out of it? Is the second wave going to make that tougher for the occupancies to sustain at 90%?
Look, I think we at Embassy know and believe that office is here to stay. Yes, we are seeing a temporary dip in occupancy. Just to correct you, our occupancy today is around 88% and our NOI grew around 12 to 13%. That's because of rent escalations. But yes, we are going to see a little bit of a freeze on new deals happening. But I am privy to some big RFPs that are happening in the market. And these are big clients, blue chip clients that are looking at India long term in the market for huge campuses. I'm talking about 3-4 million square feet. And that's so much confidence on office in India. For us, really, the biggest thesis coming out of this is not really work from home, but rather work close to the office. Work close to home. And I think that's because you are seeing a flexibility of being able to work from home. So I think you're going to see this flexibility, but long term, you're going to see people come into the offices, and we're long-term office, and we're going to keep our construction going on and take that view that we need to have spaces operational in the next 2, 3, 4 years when office is full stream back.
Wow. So that's good news. First, that I'm going to conclude by saying that, all right, there is going to be a short-term disruption, but the industry, the real estate sector is going to take care of all the construction workers. That's extremely important. Vaccinations, as and when they're open, will be provided for the frontline workers. Sanjay Dutt, Pankaj Bajaj and Aditya, thank you very much for joining me today on this discussion.